Hi, I'm Danny North. I've been asked to speak a few words about my dad, Lowell, and the star class. How did Lowell get into the star class? Well, his dad was an engineer in the oil exploration business and moved his family from Springfield, Missouri to Newport Beach in, I want to say, the early 40s, late 30s, and then again moved to San Diego in probably the very early 40s, whence he and my grandfather built a starboat in their basement in Point Loma. I think they chose the class because it was by far the most competitive and interesting class in San Diego at the time, and they could build one themselves. They did. They went well with it. My grandfather crewed for him. Must have sparked young Malin Burnham's attention because Malin Burnham took the 15-year-old Lowell North with him to Long Island Sound, where they won the 1945 Star World's Championship at the age of 17, Malin, and 15, Lowell. On the way back on the train, they schlepped the boat on a train because there was no gasoline available. It was the end of World War II, and Victory Day, I think, came on their way back on the train. They rolled into some train station and there was cheering and all of that. Lowell majored in engineering at the University of California, Berkeley. He probably had an interest in sail design before that, having an engineering mind, and was recutting his cotton sails in an early day. The cotton sails were kind of a black art of design rather than an engineered solution, and had a lot of room for improvement. So he was recutting them and looking at them, recutting them again. One of his innovations was to put a bungee cord in the luff. I think this was on starboats, it could have been Lightnings, so that when you went downwind, the sail would bunch up and get fuller downwind, which apparently was successful enough that it was made immediately illegal and never seen again. But he was recutting sails right up until he founded the company in 1957, and the sails at that point were just transitioning from cotton to Dacron. Dacron was a much firmer, stiff fabric that was much more conducive to engineering and proper design. The cotton sails had to be stretched into shape. So certainly that was one of his innovations, was bringing a technical mind to sail innovation, and later innovating computer-aided design and manufacture into sail making. I'm pretty sure, very sure, he was the first to use computer-aided design and manufacture also with the advent of plotters. We were cutting sails on the floor with shears up until probably 1982. In my case, I was still on the floor at San Francisco Sail Loft cutting sails, but the designs themselves were computer generated from consensus designs from all the best sail makers from North Sails around the world, and were computer-aided design off of curves that we cut off of our shears. Probably Lowell's most memorable victory might have been Havana in 1957, the year before his first victory in the Starboat World Championships. In 1956, in Naples, Italy, it was my father's honeymoon, I believe. He had to get married to take Kay to the actual World Championships. So in Naples, he had put a number of points between him and his top Italian competitor, who was able to close the gap with help from some other sailors to the point where Lowell got second. So the next year in Havana, on the eve of Castro actually being in Havana, there was fighting in the streets every night, and armed guards, lots of Army guards outside the yacht club. Lowell won his first Starboat World Championships in Havana, Cuba, and that probably had to be one of the most memorable. It was a year before I was born, so I can't speak for that. His last victory as skipper was in 1973 here at San Diego Yacht Club, which was fairly memorable because the last race was held in the fog. Several boats got lost. Davy Miller ended up anchored off of Ocean Beach about 3 miles away on the other side of Point Loma and had to swim ashore and call his wife from a payphone to come pick him up. Lowell, I don't know how he did in that foggy race, but he won the regatta. It was his third Starboat World Championship as skipper, and the rest is history. One of Lowell's other contributions to starboats, well, there may have been others that I don't know about, but plenty. He always tinkered with the boat. He was a big tinkerer. As Dennis and Vince and Malin will tell you, there was more holes drilled in the deck of Lowell's boat than just about anything. He was moving tracks, moving jib leads this way and that way and everywhere right up until he left the dock. One innovation I believe he came up with was the conventional wisdom back in the 50s, 40s actually, was you couldn't use a compass on a starboat. Well, clearly they had an iron keel and you know, the compass was going to be a little haywire, but relatively speaking, out in the ocean, it would give you an idea of heading change, you know, of headers and shifts. So Lowell went ahead and put a compass in there, and it was an advantage, and I think there's been compasses in starboats ever since. Lowell's contribution to the Star class, boy, it's been well said in these other videos by both Dennis and Malin and others, but it was the pride of his life and the joy of his life to sail starboats, and forever would have been his favorite class that he ever sailed. In later years, he had a lot of success in level racing and the SORC and the Admiral's Cup, in 1-tons and 2-ton world championships, but the starboat was his first love. We really look forward to hosting you all here in San Diego Yacht Club for the 2024 Starboat World Championships. Generationally speaking, this is a big family, and I know so many of you from your parents and your grandparents, and we really look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks here in San Diego.